Assalamualaikum everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm NADIAHZAFIRAH binti ZULKHAIRI and my matching number is 18BB05036. As you can see on the screen, our topic is Tawarruq home financing and Tawarruq term deposit. Okay, I will ask you, do you know about Tawarruq? Okay. Let's my team explain to you guys. Today, we have the agenda for this topic. So, let's start. Okay, for the first agenda, I will take over to explain to you guys. It is definition. So here, I will tell you all definition of Tawarruq. First, from literal. It means silver. It is a alwaric or the act whereby some person seek silver money. And for technically, it is defined as buying commodity with deferred payment and selling it to a person other than the buyer for a lower price with immediate payment. And for overall, I tell you, Tawarruq is term commonly used by Hanbali School of Law, and other schools mention the form of Tawarruq under the rubric or by al-ajal and by al-inah. For the second agenda, it is legality. Legality of Tawarruq is Islamic finance has been designated as an alternative to the conventional banking system, which is a component that is not permitted under Sharia. Tawarruq is one of the most commonly used Islamic financial product in Islamic bank. It is evaluated to two important areas that cover the principle of Tawarruq in the perspective of fiqh and the practical aspect of those principles in Islamic bank in Malaysia. For the next agenda is essential element. So at this slide, I just want to tell you about essential element for Tawarruq. It is contracting party. It is between buyers and sellers. Then, it is a ijab and qabul. It is for offer and acceptance from buyers and seller. Third is a price of Tawarruq. It will purchase a commodity from a seller on credit at a higher price. And for the last one is the subject matter of Tawarruq.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FARHATUL Jannah binti AYOP. My matching number 18BB05024. Next, let's take a look at the types of Tawarruq. Basically, types of Tawarruq divided by two, which is Tawarruq on individual basis or classical Tawarruq, Tawarruq fardi, and organized Tawarruq, Tawarruq munazam. First, for the classical Tawarruq, it's defined this as the purchase of a commodity possessed and owned by the seller for a delayed payment, whereupon the buyer will resell the commodity for cash to other than the original seller in order to acquire cash. So in the simple words, in order to acquire cash, the seller purchase commodity for a delayed payment, and then the buyer sell the commodity to the other buyers, not the original sellers. Meanwhile, for organized Tawarruq, the seller handle the process by which cash is acquired for the mutawarik. The seller here is the bank, and mutawarik is the customer or the seeker of the cash. In the first contract, the seller, which is bank, sell a commodity to the mutawarik for a delayed payment. And then in the second contract, the seller sells the same commodity on mutawarik behalf to the third party for cash and hands over the cash to the mutawarik. So what's the difference between classical Tawarruq and organized Tawarruq? I will explain on the next slide. You have to understand understand first the difference between classical tawarruq and organized tawarruq so that you can see the issue occur in this contract. First, for the classical tawarruq is involved four-party arrangement, which is party A, B and C. Meanwhile, for organized tawarruq is involved four-party arrangement because there are banks involved in this contract. Next, for the classical tawarruq, the client sell commodity on his own. Meanwhile, for organized tawarruq, the client appoint the bank as his agent to sell the commodity on the second tawarruq. Second tawarruq contract here is wakalah contracts. So why the client or customer appoint bank as his agent? Because the customer don't have expertise or kemahiran to enter Bursa Suk Arsilah. Next, for the classical tawarruq, client did not promise to purchase the commodity. Meanwhile, for organized tawarruq, it's involved an unliteral promise to purchase by the mutawarik because in this contract, it's like an agreement contract which the financial institution arranged to sell the commodity to the clients by deferred payment and then become as agent on behalf of the client to sell to the third party. So it's like a arrangement contract. Next, for the classical tawarruq, no sign just as MOU agreement because there is no bank involved. Meanwhile, for organized tawarruq, involve agreement or MOU under the procedure to be followed. Agreement involved here just as wakalah contract. Lastly, for the classical tawarruq, transfer of possession or commodity physically. Meanwhile, for organized tawarruq, transfer of possession on paper because the ownership of the commodity or CPO under the paper. Okay, next, this is the simple modus operandi of classical tawarruq. I give a situation, example, Imran buy commodity with 1,000 ringgit and then he want to sell to the Iskandar with 2,000 ringgit, which is his profit 1,000. And then Adam want to buy a commodity from Iskandar and Iskandar sell the commodity to Adam with 3,000 ringgit. So what is the tawarruq here? Tawarruq here is three parties involved and then is acquire cash.
My name is IZZAT BIKAM BINTI ISMAIL, my metric number 18BB05037. So now I'll continue the explanation with introducing the first product that our group will be presenting about, which is Tawarruq in home financing product. So basically, it is a contract where the financial institution will arrange to sell a commodity to its customer by deferred payment, then becomes the agent on behalf of its client to sell the commodity to a third party, whereupon the institution pays the price to its customer. So basically, a tawarruq consists of sale and purchase, which involve the sales of an asset by a seller, which is the bank, to a purchaser, which is the customer, on a deferred basis, and subsequently, the purchaser of the first sale, which is the customer, will sell the same asset to a third party, broker 2, on a cash and spot basis. And at the end of the contract, customer will receive a cash which allow them to purchase a house. And this is what make tawarruq difference from other home financing product which use other types of contract like Baybi Taman Ajil and Musyarakah Mutanakisah. And lastly, basically, organized tawarruq involve murabahah and also wakalah contract, as the bank will play the role of customer agent in this contract. Next, let's take a look of the modus operandi of tawarruq in home financing. So basically, Bank Islam has provided BINTI home financing under the tawarruq concept. So the first step, the bank will obtain tawarruq transaction document from the customer. Then,
the bank will buy commodity from broker 1. So the bank then will sell the commodity that they buy from broker 1 to their customer at bank selling price on deferred term. So bank selling price includes principal and profit. Then the customer, which is the owner of the commodity, will request the bank to sell their commodity on the market. The bank then will acting as the customer agent to sell the commodity to broker 2, and the bank will credit customer account with proceeds from the sale of commodity that they sell to broker 2. So after this transaction, the customer will receive a cash which allows them to purchase a house, and the customer has an obligation of making installment payment to the bank.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AZHAR and my matric number is 18PB05018. Now, I will talk about Tawarruq fixed deposit. These fixed deposit accounts are capital guaranteed, which allow you the flexible to manage fund according to your short-term or long-term needs. The profit earned from this commodity transaction is based on a predetermined fixed profit rate. It is special because it is a term deposit product with a fixed profit rate. Profit are derived from commodity trading transaction based on a fixed profit rate determined at the beginning of the contract. The Sharia concept that apply to these deposit items is Tawarruq, where commodity are used as the underlying asset for sale and purchases transaction between traders, customer and banks. Malaysia Deposit Insurance Corporation or PIDM will provide protection against loss of deposit and insurance in the event of failure up to RM250,000 per customer. Brokerage fees will be handled by the bank except for cases of premature withdrawal. This is the mechanism of Tawarruq deposit product by Bank Islam. For the first point, once the customer open an account, he will appoint a bank as an agent to manage the sale and purchase of commodity on his behalf and make a deposit placement. For example, the amount of deposit is RM1,000. If we notice, in the beginning, he already used the concept of wakalah in this deposit term, because the commodity purchase will not belong to the banks, but to the customer. Number 2, bank as the agent purchases commodity from the commodity supplier on the spot value. Number 3, acting as an agent on behalf of the customer, the bank sell the accurate commodity to the bank itself with deferred payment on the amount of deposit with a profit. Here, we have used the concept of murabahah. For example, from RM1,000, the original price, increased to RM1,100 as the selling price and based on the agreed profit rate. Number 4, the bank then sell its commodity to commodity buyer at the original price of RM1,000. And the last one, the bank will pay the deposit amount with a profit, or we call it as the sale price, to the customer on the maturity date. This current practice shows that the application of Sharia contract used to compile product is wakalah, murabahah, and tawarruq. Now, we go to the difference between Tawarruq home financing and Tawarruq fixed deposit. The first difference is about the function of each contract. In Tawarruq of home financing, the function is to provide the financing to each customer who desire to purchase a house but does not have enough money. So, home financing is like making it easier for customer to buy a house, while the function of Tawarruq fixed deposit is to provide income to customer and at the same time guarantee capital protection. The second difference is relating to how the contract starts. For Tawarruq in home financing, the bank is looking for a broker one. If based on the modus operandi explained by IZZAT BIKAM just now, we can see that the bank will buy the commodity first before the concept of murabahah or wakalah appears. While in Tawarruq fixed deposit, the customer approached the bank at first. After that, the bank as the customer agents take the action of finding broker one to buy the commodities.
Okay, so next difference is regarding bank rules in both product. So in Tawarruq home financing, bank play the role as the seller, which the bank sell the commodity to the customer on deferred. Meanwhile, in Tawarruq term deposit product, the bank will act as a buyer to buy the commodity from the customer on deferred. And the next difference is regarding bank role as an agent. So in both product, bank play the role as an agent, or we use the wakalah concept. However, in Tawarruq home financing product, the bank will play the role as customer agent during the third transaction, where the bank will sell the commodity to broker 2. Meanwhile, in term deposit product, the bank will play the role as a customer agent during the first transaction, where the bank will buy a commodity on customer behalf from broker 1.
For the number 5, between Tawarruq in home financing and Tawarruq term deposit, it is the obligation of party involved. For Tawarruq home financing, its customer make the installment payment, but in Tawarruq term deposit, a bank will give a profit upon a maturity. And the last one is a party that gain a profit at the end of a contract. For the Tawarruq home financing, a bank will gain a profit, but in a Tawarruq term deposit, a customer will get a profit at the end of a contract.
Now we are going to explain why many banks choose to use Tawarruq contract under their home financing and term deposit product. Firstly, let's take a look the reason of choosing Tawarruq in home financing product. So the first reason is because Tawarruq home financing is free from gharar element in their subject matter. For Tawarruq, their subject matter is commodity, or for example, CPO, crude palm oils. It currently does not obtain gharar element because CPO already exists during the contract. But for BBA and ISTISNA, their subject matter is house, and it's involved the element of gharar because the house is not existent yet, especially house under construction or abandoned housing property. For the second reason why bank choose Tawarruq contract is because sale in Tawarruq contract does not involve riba. Bayarina is rejected by majority scholar, and Tawarruq is often said being used to replace Bayarina. Before bank use Tawarruq contract, Bayarina has been used widely in banking industry, but majority scholar reject Bayarina contract because there is element of riba. My second point is, in the home financing product, Malaysia usually use Tawarruq, BBA, Babitamil Ajil, and Musyarakah and Mutanakisah product. In BBA home financing, in their second contract, the customer sell the property to the bank, and the customer will buy back the property at increased price. So this type of transaction is similar to Bayarina, where Bayarina contracts, sellers sold a commodity at a deferred payment, and then buy back in cash.
Assalamualaikum, my name is SYAMILAH. I will continue the third reason, which is the ceiling rate price protection. In this, it will be not overcharged, which means the customer will not be charged more than the ceiling rate that should the normal benchmark rate that increase to above the ceiling rate. Okay, This simple example to be clear. If the benchmark rate is below the ceiling rate, you enjoy the benchmark rate as same as the conventional. And if the benchmark is above the ceiling rate, you only pay based on the ceiling rate, not the same as conventional. So that is the difference of the conventional between the price of the ceiling rate. So next, I will explain about the reason of choosing Tawarruq in term deposit product. Before that, for your information, before using the Tawarruq concept in term deposit product, many banks in Malaysia use mudarabah contract in their product. But since the introduction of IZZAT 2013, most banks has changed their contract and use Tawarruq. So the first reason is the coverage by BIKAM. They will protect to eligible bank deposit up to 250,000 in the event a member bank becomes bankrupt. As we clearly know, mudarabah classified as investment in Islamic deposit is not the same as the investment based on the point of view. It is permissible to give fixed return under Tawarruq term deposit contract, on which it is not permissible under the mudarabah profit sharing concept. Moreover, give more benefit to customers because risk will be borne by banks, whereas under mudarabah, the risks are solely borne by the customer. For the conclusion, based on the all above, it can summarize that Tawarruq are the concept that was commonly applied in the product of home financing and term deposit at the Islamic bank. Besides, we know that the buying and the selling commodities under Tawarruq is a better alternative for those who want to get cash without going through by Al-Innah. Moreover, it is being adopted to create variation in financial product in Islamic bank in Malaysia. Lastly, Tawarruq is definitely one of the best contract for the post product, considering the benefit it holds, despite the fact that it still has some issues according to some scholars. That's all from us. Thank you.